says I'm unable to record. Go ahead.
Well, it shows here recording.
Go ahead.
So, apologies everyone. So we had broadcast interruption. So I'm going to do a really quick recap so that we don't have to try to do a splice together. So, working on the evergreen wreath, and it's going to take a while for everyone to jump back on. This is a 24-inch evergreen wreath, which I purchased from Hobby Lobby. What we've done is step one, we've fluffed it, which means to physically take your hands and pull all the individual branches all the way up, all the way around to where it looks like a blooming onion from Outback Steakhouse. Once you've done that, then you can come in, if you're adding lights, and go ahead and add your lights all the way through. And what I've done with mine, because it was a 50 light set in the cool white, I got it from Big Lots a couple years ago. Number one, make sure you have batteries in it and that you test it to make sure, because you wouldn't want to, like, you know, put everything together on the wreath and then find out that the lights don't work. From there, what we've done, we've taken a white pine pick from Hobby Lobby, 2 of them, because they will break down into 6 individual picks, and we've basically added the greenery to the outside. And so before we lost connection, we were breaking down additional picks to go back in, and this is where we're elevating that base evergreen to something better than what you would normally find in the store. So we're taking this green pine pick that I got from Sims Pottery, and we're breaking this down. I'm not going to be using the wood branch part. I will be using the bristle pine that's in here. So this is just taking a bunch of different color greenery, and I like looking for picks that have different colors, different textures, because that's what you need to make your evergreen look better than just what you're going to get at the store level. So I'm breaking this down individually. So even taking the ones that are, you know, the plastics, cypress vines, that's these things right here, pulling those apart. And then I save all of these because these are great for stewing or stirring your glue if you need them. And then now we're going to go in and we're going to add some of these. So we're adding these kind of to the middle, a little bit on the inside. And if you guys have any questions, and we will do you the favor and put in part 1 of, we'll call it the prequel, fluffing and adding lights, because not everybody will do that. So we'll incorporate that when we put the video back together. So I'm just adding these again in the same direction as you're fluffing your evergreen. Everything's going to go in a circular fashion, so everything goes the same direction. What's that? Any questions?
No, it's like I was just saying, Gabe, we're back. Apologies.
If it ever happens, we will immediately get right back on.
Jana, no, the wreath was not lit or lighted. Kathy, in the first section, showed you how to put lights on it. So she actually wrapped it around and put lights on it.
Yeah, I just basically took the lights with the wires. They're, I think most of the places call them fairy lights. So I added a 50 light set of fairy lights to my evergreen, and so you see I'm just taking like some of these, adding some to the inside. I took that big darker pine, which is kind of like the white pine but a little bit darker, and I've added these on the inside, which are great. So if you have some spaces in your wreath that, oh, there's a giant hole, you can fill it with that big pine branch. I'm just kind of taking these. So we are taking this to the next level. It's next level evergreen. And I do have a hole. So I just took that and dropped it right in that And so everything is still going same direction. So let's see if we can try to keep this combed back. Just like so.
Thank you gals for jumping back on.
That'll be another thing I do before I move on is go back in and pull out all those threads, the little blue threads you see. So it's just kind of nice to find ways to make it different, add some life to it, different textures. And like I said, because my glue pot is right at that temperature to melt, it's not so hot that I can't immediately just go in there and pull a thread off if I need to, like you see me doing.
Hey, welcome back, Caitlin. Caitlin Craig, she says, hi from Texas, haven't been on in a while.
Hi, Caitlin.
With the bad situation and finally just getting back to a little bit of normalcy, so good for you, glad you're back. Hope you're okay. Beth said, I'm so glad I caught you live. I found you on YouTube a couple weeks back.
Oh,
Glad to be here. Your
us.
stuff is so wonderful.
Thank you, Beth.
Oh, awesome. Kathy Jensen said, I'm watching you make a wreath while I'm making a wreath.
So what are you making? Are you doing fall? Are you doing Christmas? And you can see it's already like making our wreath much more thicker.
Yeah. Donetta, that's a surprise.
What?
She said, so what sign are you putting in? You'll see.
Yeah. So I think the sign, yeah, the sign actually comes right after this.
And then Caitlin said, I love the blue lights. Where did you get them?
Big Lots.
Big Lots? You can also find lights like them on Amazon, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they're called Starry Lights.
Yeah. I think Starry Lights might be the name of the company.
Yeah.
That puts them all together. And they were selling them like one at a time. And now it's like in a big bundle. Like I think you can get like 5 different sets, which is great. Get all 5. And then you'll have plenty to get you through all your evergreens for the season.
Pam, good question. She said, have you done a tutorial on the tree on the door behind you?
That's what we're going to do next Friday. So I'm going to teach you how to make the Christmas tree, and we're going to actually add lights to that one while we're building it. So if you've never added lights to it, I'm going to teach you how to add lights.
Very cool. Kathy Jensen says she's doing a Halloween tablecloth wreath with a Dollar General center. Awesome.
Oh, nice. I can't wait to see. Okay.
Thank
So
you,
I'm just
Donetta.
adding little picks here and there.
She
Okay.
says anticipation always gets me. By the way, I love you both.
Aw, thanks. Okay, so this was just breaking down the Sims pottery pick and adding that. So we have like, you can see it, it's different shades of green now being intermixed in here. So now I'm gonna take this, I know it's like kind of contradictory. It's like, it's such a limey green, but the thistle pine is actually really nice for adding that dimension. So I'm doing the same things. I'm coming in and breaking that pick apart. I like picks that have a lot of pieces you can pull apart. So that's always something I'll do when I'm in the store, is I'll look and say, is this just like a singular pick, or could I pull this apart and get a whole bunch of pieces out of it? And so in this case, we're using it all. And now we're gonna come in and add this thistle pine right into our evergreen.
Yep.
And I'm
Edie
just
said it
gonna-
looks totally different than originally. Yep.
Right? I need to not try to drag it if I can. So I'm gonna, wow, this is way too big. Let's break this down. So this is just taking, and I just look at like, where haven't I added a pick to the bunch yet? pull these ones apart. This was towards the top, so it's giving me some extra pieces. And now we'll do that. So I'm going to kind of come in here. Just add.
Penny, they're actually pretty good. I mean, for what you get, she said I've never done a UITC board.
Oh.
I've watched a couple tutorials, but they're pretty easy.
Really easy. You know, they made wreath makers' lives a lot easier.
Yeah. Sherry, oh, that's awesome, Sherry. She said you are one of the best teachers for wreath making.
Oh, thanks. I try.
And Donna said, I know, right, Sherry? We are so blessed to have found Kat.
Well, thank you, ladies.
We just need to get her numbers up. So like and share as much as possible. Tell your friends and neighbors.
It's funny. It's Friday. So as you can see, I'm just kind of coming in, moving them around, just adding them, just different colors. Let me pull this out. That's why it's so nice to have a glue pot, because everything gets recycled. It all gets thrown back inside. A couple more light green pieces. Move it around. Last two pieces. So it's just looking and going, okay, where else do we need to add a piece or two? Like right in here. And then our last piece here. We're going to tuck it into the outside. Just right there. Okay. So let me sweep out this mess really quick. This is what happens when you break down so many of your picks. I'll still keep my branches because you never know when you'll put them in a different wreath. But this is adding those little pops of the thistle pine in here. So again, it's just, you're building upon the wreath. So I'm going to take one of these apart. So these are those icicle pick pieces. I'm going to break this down. It's a huge mess too, because the little icicle pieces will fall off. I would probably take E6000 and spray this to keep them from falling off. But we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring these to the outside edge, because these are a bigger pick. So you're going to look in places where we're going to add them to the outside. Okay. This one here. Sometimes it's just looking. I kind of like it here. So you can hear all the little pieces. So what did that break into? 5 picks. That's a pretty good amount. So if you space it somewhat in the same direction, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, I have another pick if I need it, but I don't think I'll use it. I'm going to put it right here. And these are basically going right down to the evergreen frame. Last one. They were my sign. I knew that was going to happen because my evergreen's getting bigger.
That's okay.
So I've been trying really hard to keep it pulled this way.
Fortunately,
but
I had it zoomed in so they never saw a thing.
Oh, nice. The powers of filming. Here, I have this if you needed it.
Yeah, and gals, you know, I might not ask your question, or I might not say your comment. If it's something I can answer really quick on the typing it out.
Oh, okay.
But the major questions I'll answer. You know, Someone was asking what UITC stands for, and you know, we all just said it's unique in the Creek. They make boards for specific wreaths and like the tree.
Absolutely. So look at it now. So I'm gonna hold this one up so you guys can actually see. This was our plain evergreen base. This looks nice enough that I would use this and add a really big hurricane lamp to the center and put a nice candle inside. Put some pine cones on it, maybe some berries. I'd be like, done. So I'm not gonna use this one. So now we're gonna add our sign. I know you guys already asked, what sign are we doing? Let me cut this pin off really quick. So then I can move these off. Okay, so our sign for this particular design. We are using one of the new signs. We're gonna be adding the red truck. So this Rustic Merry Christmas. It's a 12-inch on the largest points, or the widest, and then 6 inches from top to bottom. So I'm gonna remove the hanger from here because I'm not gonna use that. Because I need to secure that to the outside edges.
David said beautiful. Donetta said wowzers. Audrey said we had rain here today. Finally, more to come as well. Hi, Audrey. Sandra said love it. Penny said looks great. Nicole said so full and nice.
See, and now you guys know. I mean, even if you go to a yard sale and someone's selling a really old wreath, you know, if it's just the standard evergreen and they're like $5, you're like, done. Get it, take it. Remember, you can also spray your evergreens. Like if you want them a different color, you can spray them with flocking. If you want it more the snowy whites, there's all that icicle snow. I am pulling all of my dried glue off of my pine.
Right, Sherry? That's the whole idea. She said you have a $12 wreath look like a $100 wreath.
Right?
Yep.
And a lot of people don't even go this step. They're like, well, what's the point? Number one, it's nice if you just wanted to keep it very rustic and just add a whole bunch of different pines and berries and maybe birds or a bird's nest or something like that, and you can keep it very rustic looking. So it's teaching you different techniques. Or like you said, this could be a centerpiece for, you know, a Christmas wedding or a winter wedding, and just add a really nice hurricane lamp to it. You know, elevate it up so that you can actually see the lamp, and you're good. So from here, I'm going to add holes to the outside edges, and because this one is kind of a beveled edge, it's a little challenging, but I need it right here on the outside edge. I've already done it once to make sure I didn't need to drill a hole. So I have my 1.5 millimeter beadsmith metal hole punch, and I'm going to come right here to the outside edge, and I'm going to punch a hole in it, and because it's on that beveled edge, I'm going to put 2 next to it so that I have a little bit larger, and I know you can't really see it, but it's like a little bit, it's an oval hole. So that takes care of that. And then we're going to add our pipe cleaner to the edge. And now that just made the hole so much easier.
And she's just using red because she's matching the color of the outside of the sign.
Yeah, I could have used green, but then you would really see it from the outside. So it's all about, like, nobody would look at that wreath now and go, you bought that at Hobby Lobby? And believe it or not, Hobby Lobby actually has the evergreens with the lights, but I think they're $19.99. But I think they're the plug-in lights. So just be cautious of that.
Penny asked, do you have a specific brand of flocking you recommend? You know, she does. You can just go to Target or Walmart. They buy the stuff that's like white snow. You can actually flock it after you make pretty much the whole thing. If you flock it and then try to put all your ribbon and stuff in it, it's just going to tear all the flocking apart.
Like for me, I don't, like if I'm doing flocking and it's not going to be a permanent thing, like we do like a topiary on either side of our mantle, and it's like out of the big kind of like Christmas pines. 1 year we'll take it and we'll flock it with like the snow flocking you get at Hobby Lobby. And that once it's dry, if you touch it, it's going to start to, you know, come off. But we flock it to set it, and then it's there, and then next year we don't want flocking, so then we take it, and you can either take a spray bottle, or we take it outside and hose it all down and get all the flocking off, and then we're back to green again. So I don't have anything like that I would recommend that would be a permanent. And this one, I'm gonna kind of situate a little off center, so I'm not gonna go right to the middle.
Debbie asked you where you got the sign from?
Craft outlet. So if you guys saw my unboxing on Wednesday, I shared with you the sign, and I think the sign is like $3.50, $3.95.
That's cheap.
Yeah. I think I want this one over a little bit more. So I'm gonna pick it up. On this particular evergreen, there's two metal parts that make up the frame. There's an inner and an outer. So I'm trying to hit this one on the outer part. And then bring it down.
She doesn't do too much flocking on her wreaths. Maybe once in a blue moon she'll do some flocking on it. She would rather use the pine picks that already has flocking in it, so they're permanent.
Yes. But I'm sure, like, that's going to be something that we're going to test this year.
Yeah.
So we'll test some of the flocking, and we'll put it to the test and say, is this good flocking? Like, would this stay? Or is this like a temporary thing?
Right.
Like enough to get you, like what I said, not a long-term solution. So if you wanted to change it next year, because that's me. I'm always changing stuff. I might want brown this year and green next year. So this is where I've added my sign. So, babe.
Yeah, that was good.
So we've added our sign. Still have the lights on.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I could technically turn them off, but now we're going to make our bow. So our bow is going to go up here, and that's why I wanted to drop the sign down. I don't really want the tails of the bow to come down and impact the sign, so that's why I didn't go right in the middle, because then I might have loops that come down and impact the barn. You won't really see the character of the sign that way.
Plus you could have your tails go longer if you wanted to on the side.
Yeah, I generally don't. So I'm going to do the same standard formula that I do for most of my bows. There's all the ice stuff. So, for this one, I'm just going to push this off to the side. Still need my glue pot on, otherwise I'd move my glue pot off. Okay, so these are the colors we're doing. Because this is set up for a traditional red, white, and green, you guys saw that on the unboxing, we unboxed these two new colors that came from Craft Outlet this year, which is a cream and green. It's more of a muted, so this could be great for your country wreaths. It's also great for St. Patrick's Day if you don't use it all this year. And then we're doing the green and white stitching. These both came from Craft Outlet in 1.5 inches. This green and white stitching with a raised stitching came from Kringle Designs, as well as a solid green. Because remember I was telling you guys, it's so crazy sometimes to get hooked up in the pretty that we forget to break up so many patterns with just your solids. So Kringle Designs for this and the stitching. This was left over from Joann's, I'm looking 2019, when all the ribbon was like 80 or 90% off. So this was I'm trying to see what the dimension, 125 feet. So what is that? I'd have to do the math.
How many?
125 feet.
How many
into
yards?
a yard. You have to go 3. 40. Yeah. I'm trying to go into.
Roughly 40 feet or 40 yards.
Roughly 40 yards?
Yeah,
okay.
like 41 yards.
And then this one came from Shinoda, so a 2.5 inch. So as you can see, I haven't quite committed to 100% of my design yet. I think I'm going to do it like this, so that this leads off, And the only reason I do this is to see what colors are going to lay on top of others, and then what can I do to break up so it's not red on top of red and green next to green. But I always end my bows with something pretty, something that has a pattern to it. So this is how it's going to be laid out as I'm building it. So I'm going to take those, set these aside, and I'm going to use my Bodabra. Because when I first started 3 years ago, everything was about money. So $15.99 is what this cost at Hobby Lobby, but you can use a 40% off coupon and bring it down even more. So that's why it became the bow maker of choice for me. So I'm going to start with 10-inch tails, but I need to dovetail my end. You've got to give it a finished look. Nobody wants to see bows with straight edges. So with this one, we're going to take our wired edges, put them together, and then you're going to cut from the folded side to the point where the end of your wired ribbon, just like so. And then when you open it, you have a really pretty dovetail. So before I learned how to do that, it was cut in, and hope to meet in the middle.
Donetta asks, is it okay to put 2.5-inch ribbons on the bottom and 2-inch ribbon at the top?
Of course. There is no cut and dry method for making bows. You as the designer are the person who decides what's going to go where. Could you combine 4-inch, 2-inch, 1.5 inch, a 2.5-inch, and kind of stagger the widths? Absolutely. For me, this is just my cut and dry formula. So it's a 10-inch tail, and it'll be a 5.5-inch loop on top. And so I'm always bringing my Bodabra back to my 10 because it's easier to measure out 5.5 when everything is centered on a 10. And then I can bring this one back over. Again, 5.5. Sometimes you just get good where you can eyeball it and know, okay, this one obviously was not a good eyeball. It needs to go to 5.5. And then we're bringing it all the way out, that 10 inches. Just like that. And I don't use high-tech scissors. You know, I'm not into using Fiskars. Just, what are they, Betty Crocker scissors from Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
I think they last me about 6 months, but when I go, I usually pick up like 5, and then I just throw them in my box, and then I'm good. Because you know, I don't want to use my good scissors to cut the wire in the ribbon. Okay, there's that one. And now I'm going to take the other 2.5 inch, and this time we're going to do 9.5 inch tails. Still dovetail. And with the Bodabra, all it's going to be is twist. So just twist. You're going from right side to wrong side, and right where you've twisted is where it's going right down that middle. And then you're working with the wrong side facing up so that when you bring it around and twist, push it back down again, you have your right side up loop. And this one's going to be 5 inches. Trying to make sure that it's sitting in there. Same thing, 5 inches. I just kind of eyeball it and then pull as I need to, either direction. And then back out to 9.5. And then we'll do our dovetail. So if you get into the habit of making something a habit, then you won't forget things like adding your lights before you add your additional picks. I mean, you could do it, and I've done it before, where I'm like, oh, adding lights was a last minute thing, or a last minute request. Okay, now we're going to do our red on top of that green. And both of these are going to be 4.5 inch loops, but this is going to be a 9-inch tail, and then this is going to be, is that right? No, 9, 8.5. That works. Each ribbon that I'm adding, I'm taking down on the tail length a 1/2 inch at a time, and then when I started at 5.5, then it went 5, then it's going to be 2 at 4.5, 1 at 4, and then 1 at 3.5. And that's just my formula for making a fairly good bow. And Lord knows why I started turning my bow dabber. People ask me why I turn it. I'm like, it's just easier. It doesn't, like, my ribbon doesn't get all like twisted because I'm just moving my bow dabber around. So back to 4.5, and then 9 inches. Any questions you guys have?
Well, Jennifer said we bought some of those scissors. They are working great so far.
They're really good. Because I would just hate to use really good scissors to cut really thick wire in a ribbon.
Hi, Yvonne. And then Colleen said they say to declutter and get rid of stuff you haven't used in a year or more. So when I moved, my bow dabber was trashed. Now I wish I had it. Well, time to buy another one.
Yeah, bow dabber is one thing I think I would always keep because you can use it for so many other things. Just to hold things while you're getting ready to prep something else. God, we've used it for more than making bows. So I'm loving this new ribbon. I'll be using this a lot. I think I bought 3 rolls of 1.5 and then 3 rolls of the 2.5. And then this is going to 8.5 inches. Because we already have the red measured out to 4.5, all you have to do is put your finger in both loops and then pull. And then you're good on your measurement.
Hi, Yvonne. Kayla says I use this bow for everything. It's so easy for me to do and looks amazing every time.
I know, right? It's like the perfect bow for the bow dabber.
Yep.
So it's a 6 ribbon bow, but you can choose to add to it. You can make it 8, you can make it less. You don't need that many ribbons. It's just nice when you can see so many different colors. And then we'll do our green and then the other one. Then we get to begin embellishing, which is the funnest part for me. Although I really enjoy adding, like taking the evergreen and making it look something different. So this is going to be 8 inches with a 4-inch loop.
Donetta asks, how do you work with fabric ribbon?
Fabric ribbon?
What do you mean fabric ribbon?
Because I'm like, this is cotton or polyester ribbon.
It's all fat, yeah, right?
Like
Most of
just
it's
regular
fabric.
fabric,
Yeah.
like fabric strips, like to do rag bows. This will work for that as well. So we're keeping these at 4. And then right at 8.
Kat, number one, she 99% of the time, she always buys wired ribbon. And she tries to get ribbon that is very good quality.
Yeah,
Some
but
that's
sometimes
thick.
you can't tell though.
Sometimes you can.
Like if you're ordering online, how do you know what the quality of the ribbon is until you get it? I think at that point, once you're, once you know what that vendor sells,
Right.
or you're looking for, I want this exact ribbon, I want the item number of that so I can order that exact ribbon. I've come into some substandard quality ribbon, but you can use that up by sandwiching it between ribbon that's like wired above and below that, so that it does have some life to it. So this is the last one. So it's 7.5 inch tail, and this will be a 3.5 inch loop. So quite a bit smaller. And then we're done with our bow. Bring this in. 7.5. And then always working on, you know, when you have your bow dabber set on the 10, then when you're pulling your ribbon out, you can see where 7.5 is.
Oh, down there, I got it. She said because fabric ribbon's seen that if you cut the dovetail that it might start fraying immediately.
Oh.
No, I mean, but every ribbon's gonna fray eventually.
It will.
The other really kind of ribbon you can't do a dovetail on is that large window pane.
Yeah, or anything
ribbon.
that's kind of woven together.
Right.
So I'm going to go ahead and do this, I think, with white. So you're going to take your whole sandwich that you've basically built, your ribbon sandwich, and kind of pull it out like this. And then get it to where you kind of have this V in between your two middle fingers. And then when you take your pipe cleaner, you can go right down where you're looking. It holds everything together. And then you can just take your pipe cleaner and just twist everything together. You can use a zip tie, but then if you use the zip tie, you're going to have to put a pipe cleaner in there anyway to secure it to your wreath. Let me remove that so it's one less thing you guys have to see. And then I'm going to fluff it. And this is my makeshift fluff board. And I just dropped my, yeah, this is right here on my mat. I'm going to spin it around. So, this is an 18 by 24 inch cutting board I got from Bed Bath & Beyond. You can use an 18 by 24 inch piece of wood that's 3/4 of an inch to an inch thick and make your own. I prefer them to be flat, closer to the surface area that I'm working. I can't work with things that are, what would you call it, like,
high.
Yeah, I think it's like 4 inches, 6 inches high, and work on a small little box. I need bigger and closer to the mat. So I installed a C-hook here, Steve did, and then a little nail here for if we're doing the ones with the wires, then we can go ahead and secure this. So I'm going to take my C-hook and just kind of hook my pipe cleaner. And I know it's going to be difficult because you can't really see that. Let me get it this way. Okay. Feels like I'm doing this all backwards. There we go. So once you have it hooked on, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Then it's secured. I can pull on my bow, not too hard, because if you pull it too hard, your ribbons start to come undone, like pull through your pipe cleaners. So you're gonna always, when you're fluffing, you pull your loops one direction from your tail on each side. So this is like our everything, it's gonna shift. So just make sure you're pulling opposites. So we go over to the other side. So we have tail here, loop here. We're gonna pull the tail out here and the loop out on this side. Make sure my loops are nice and pretty so that tails are directly across from each other. And then we're gonna do the same thing here. So we have a tail here and a loop here. So we're gonna go opposite. And now our tails are together, our loops are together. We're gonna go back to the other side and do the same thing. We're gonna do loop and tail. And so we're not positioning everything, you're just separating. So we won't really begin the actual process of fluffing until we've gotten everything unstacked and everything separated. So, and that's why having them, like you're working from the top, from the bottom up, but you're seeing it, okay, my tails need to go here, my loops need to go here. Down here, it's just gonna follow the green.
Oh, Carolyn, thank you. She said, "You're the bomb, Cat."
Oh, thank you. So here was our tail. So now we're bringing our loop over to this side, and here's our opposites. So on this side, we're taking our loop and our tail and just unstacking them. Back here, it's gonna follow the green. And at any time, because you're the designer, I don't want to see like these two together, like color on top of color. Go ahead and switch it. You know, put this over here, but just make sure when you get to the other side, you follow your pattern all the way through. And then our last one is going to be here.
Rachel said, I learned so much on making bows by watching you.
Oh, thanks. Just practice, practice, practice. It's gonna take a while, but once you practice enough, you'll eventually get there. Trust me, my bows, oh lordy. I've seen my wreaths. I've asked people, please don't put that up on your door. My very first wreaths, where I thought everything was good, it's while you're learning, you know? It's gonna take some time. So to put those arcs back into your ribbon so that everything's gonna like fold over the wreath nice, you just kind of create little scissors with your fingers and you just pull your ribbon through. If it's wired, it's gonna naturally kind of follow that flow back through. It gets a little harder when you're down towards the very, very bottom, but you can separate anything you want, separate it by colors. You're the one looking at it. You decide what looks good to you. And then...
Edie, sorry about that. She said...
that's what it looks like when you're finished.
That looks awesome.
Thanks.
Edie said she bought a 24 by 24 inch board to make a fluff board. She was taking it down to the basement when it dropped on her foot. I put a big ding in her wall.
Oh, no.
Sliding down the stairs with my foot bandaged, but she used it, the fluff board, that same night, and it made a big difference with the C-hook in it.
And if it's low. So see, what I'm saying is if you're building it up here, yeah, it's nice because you can put the arcs in your bow. But if you're doing really large loops, you might go larger than what your fluff board can do. So that's by going, and then these are great because I just take them and it goes right here next to my fridge. That little gap right between your fridge and your wall or fridge and your cabinet, you're good. Okay, so we're taking our pipe cleaner. Our bow's already pretty and fluffed. So I usually look at it like a bouquet. And I look for areas that has a lot of loops, not so many tails. And I usually try to put that side, like this would be facing my sign side. Because then I don't have to worry about tails hanging over the side. So that's kind of what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna kind of position this right in here.
Sandra said, beautiful bow. Edie said the color combo is perfect for the evergreen. Perfect as always. Thank you, Edie and Sandra.
Thank you. So I'm just working this down to my frame. And you don't want to fold too hard. Because even though we've built up that frame, you don't want to take it all the way down because then it'll kind of collapse the loops on your bows. And then of course you're going to fluff. You're still going to be fluffing until the very end. Pulling your loops, your tails off in whatever manner you want. Now this one looks a little funky right now until I get my bow down where it needs to be. This is where you can take some of those pine branches that you fluffed up. You can kind of push them down a little bit so they're not elevating your bow up a little too high. So that's what I'm doing. It's just creating a place, a home for my bow. Okay, so that, let me fluff these up. This one doesn't have as thick of a wire as the green does, and it's a lot thinner ribbon. So I'm going to take these, pull these all the way down, so that's what you end up seeing.
Yeah.
And I'm still pulling glue out. Throwing it back into my glue pot. Okay, now we get the fun part, which is decorating everything. So, we have, I pulled, at the end of every season, whether you're at Hobby Lobby, Joann's, or Michael's, you can pick up these giant things. Can you see this from there?
No, I can't.
Okay, you can pick up these giant things of ornaments. I think normal price. This one had that
I think they were 30 something.
I think this one was 50, but it has like all different color molds in them. I buy these. I buy them in every color because when it comes time for Christmas or any other, it could be wedding, it could be St. Patrick's Day. Remember, you gotta expand outside of thinking that Christmas ornaments are just for Christmas. They work for any season that you need. So I'm gonna take my strings off of these. And that's why we never buy glass ornaments, is because
She did that on purpose.
always get shatterproof ornaments. So I want them in red and the darker green. So these are ones I used last year. So I'm just cutting my fishing string off. And I have some with glitter. So Joann's had like the deal. I picked up like the blue ones for a beach Christmas wreath. What else did we get? There's the green. And then we're back to non-shiny. Non-shiny here. And then another just like this and here. I have some other ones in here too that are weird shaped. Like these. I have some off gold color, but I'm not going to use those on this design. But I change everything out every year.
Welcome, Sandra. She said first time watching from Nashville area. So welcome, Sandra.
Now with these, you can kind of just randomly place them and figure out like what your color combination is going to be. And obviously, you know, you're going to break up your greens from your reds, but you can definitely just kind of figure out what you want to go where.
This is Kat's favorite part.
Embellishing?
Yeah.
It is my favorite part.
Caitlin, that's awesome. She says, I used lime green glitter ornaments for an Easter wreath this year.
Yes.
Looked adorable. I never think in terms of season when buying anything.
No, never. Even black now. I mean, black does not have to be Halloween. Black could be black and red buffalo plaid.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm just kind of coming in, randomly spacing these wherever I want.
Julie Black said, love your bow and color choices earlier.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to tuck this one in. I'll say, do I want to do that? Maybe I'll do this one below. This one on top. And then it always looks like I planned it that way. Choices, what to do. I'm just breaking up different. So I lay out my bows where I kind of think I want them to go.
Your bulbs?
My bulbs. And then normally what I do is take the little ends off, and then I'll take them and dip them in my skillet and go right into my wreath, right where I pulled it out.
And she'll keep her finger right where she pulled it out so she remembers.
Right.
Where was that? Or you can use a little stick.
Generally it's like, you know, because you're working, you know, you're kind of going around your design. And I always glue the little glue stemmy things in first. Should probably
Right, so
stop.
you never see the tops of the bulbs.
Right. I'll just gonna go this side. That way I'm not dragging it across my wreath. Pull them off. This is what I call dip and stick. It's almost impossible. I don't want to say it is impossible to not burn yourself this way, because obviously you probably still could, but
Less likely.
less likely, right? So always plenty of glue. And I'm just going to work around. keep pulling my little tops off.
Della, the color of the lights are like a cool white, so they're a little bit of the bluish color.
Yeah, they're called cool white.
Cool white, yeah.
Yeah. I like the bluish white, the more brighter, more natural white. There's the warm color, but those kind of have a tendency of coming off a little yellow. So we'll pull this off. So it goes pretty fast once you have, once you know where everything's going to go. I have 2 more to add. The one thing I did really like last year that both Target and Joann's did is they had mini bulbs that came in a package. And I actually kept, I bought one that's your traditional Christmas colors. I bought one that was all metallics, and then I think I bought their blues just to keep, and those worked out perfect for if you're making mini angel tree toppers.
Or the little ribbon trees, or...
Yeah, exactly, because there's sun sitting on those ribbon trees over there. Okay, so these are all done. And now we're gonna go in and start adding pine cones. We're gonna start adding some of that rustic feel to it. And then I have red berries that we're gonna incorporate as well. So the first thing I'm gonna do is incorporate my thistle pine, the bristle pine cones. And I'm going to take these and put these right on the edge of my sign. Yikes, don't wanna go that far. Okay, and now we're gonna add just regular pine cones.
Christina, like Kat said, she's going to be closing down the private group as far as memberships here at the end of the month.
Yes, the end of September we're going to close the private group so that we can really focus on, not close it, close open enrollment.
Right.
Because then it gets kind of hard when you have, new people joining and you're trying to get them included and get their shop set up. And so this way it just allows us to focus, and we can just really, push for new design challenges, things people want to make for their craft fair. Kind of makes it more intimate that way.
So Christina, yeah, all you have to do is click on the link that I posted in the bottom that's a pinned on the KatsCreationsNMore.com. It should take you right to the page, and if you scroll down to the bottom, it tells you how to sign up.
I'm sorry, I was trying really hard. Okay, so these are my favorite. So I like this size pine cones. What is it? Hobby Lobby sells these in their fall section. So it's $4.99 for a bag, but they're 40% off. And these are amazing for like the average size wreath that you're gonna use. They're not too big, and most of them, I would say, are non-broken. So you don't have those ones that are like, oh, you pulled this out and it's smashed in a million pieces. These ones I'm going to take and just randomly put these.
If you do live in a wooded community, you could go out and
pick them up.
Pick your own, and
you can also sell these online. There's people like me that would buy them. So I actually had somebody send me a whole box of pine cones last year that
you're still using.
I haven't even opened my box yet. So I'm just trying to use up the ones that are in bags. So I'm trying to show you what I'm doing. So I'm kind of just going around and just tucking them in between like the ornaments, more towards the outside, I guess. Just so it kind of feels countryish, I guess, right? I do make sure I have quite a bit of glue on. So as you can see, I'm just going around and adding them to the outside. Like I said, these are the perfect size. I like hiding them too, so that if, the customer's readjusting the bow, they might find a really pretty ornament in there, or a baby pine cone. And I actually do recommend you get little baby pine cones, So when we get into teaching you how to make corner spikes, I don't have it. I need to bring it out here. You can add baby pine cones to like the tips of your branches to make it look more like it came that way. And so I'm tucking some in right under my bow. And I don't know if you guys can see that as I just kind of spin that around.
Awesome. Caitlin said I gather my own because I can never find cones at the store that don't reek of cinnamon.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Also, you want to make sure if you're gathering your own pine cones that you put them in the oven on a low temperature. And know there's a recipe for how to sanitize your pine cones. Basically kill off any unwanted critters that have made themselves home before you go ahead and, you know, ship that off to a customer or use it on your wreath. So just make sure that you go through and they don't have any hijacked critters going along the way. I'm gonna come in here and add this one down here. Just like that. I'm gonna show you what we've done so far, and now we're gonna come in and just add a little pop more of red with some red and like a burgundy berry. Kind of like these ones, but these ones are frosted. So, last minute touch. Again, these came from Sims. They were like $1.35 for the whole pick. But with Sims, they're a wholesaler, so you have to have a business license in order to purchase from them. But look at how many picks we can break this down into. Of course, they get stuck with other ones from the other side. Okay, there we go. I'm not going to use them in their entireties like this. I'll end up probably in trios. Just kind of tuck them in like these. I just kind of look at where would these, not there, it just doesn't want to lay the right way. Not there. Right here works, right next to a light, which is nice. So I'm going to just fan this to the outside so you can see. You're just looking for places to kind of put a little trio of berries. I usually try to put them next to the pine cones because they look nice, offset next to each other. And I'm just going to go ahead and start committing by putting these in. Trying really hard not to. What do you guys think so far? Do you like? Are you ready to try one on your own? Ooh, hey look, I can have a ball in here.
Hey.
I'm here, but I'll use it.
There's a section above the bow. It's bare, but it's above the bow.
What's that?
An empty section.
As I'm going around?
For a ball, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's quite a few. So I'm just kind of tucking them. So I'm trying to make it to where I don't drag them across my glue pot, if I can avoid doing that. Because then I don't have to sit here and pull all my glue threads back out. Just like that. So I'm just taking little trios. So kind of what you can see there.
Jennifer said I'm excited to try to make one. Sandra said I love the style, so pretty.
Yeah, it's rustic. this would look really good if you have traditional colors for your Christmas decor. Like I know my mom and dad are both, you know, they prefer to keep to the traditional colors. So this would look really good above a mantle. So make sure that you're, you know, if you're adding that to your Etsy description, you're telling them, don't forget, you can take a lighted wreath like this and tuck it above your mantle and then add pine branches, glitter balls, pine cones. You could add pomegranates.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just going to use up this pick. Just adding little pops of red and cranberry. Okay. Snip it off so it's not quite so.
Pretty much done, huh?
Pretty much. I'm just going around. I'm finishing like using the rest of my berries because there's no point in me throwing those back in the bag. I mean, I've broken the pick apart enough. Like you said, I'm coming back in and just taking these onesie twosies ones. These ones that don't have a home. You did. What'd you do? Oh. What are you doing?
You don't have to ask.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
I'm the behind the scenes.
The behind the scenes guy that's actually in front of the scenes. You're okay. Let's add some right here. I think I have like 2 picks left. Again, it's just nice to see, and now I'm kind of tucking a couple pieces to the inside. One, the very last one. Okay, you guys ready to see it on the door?
Yep.
Now keep, okay. People getting a little crazy outside.
Yep.
Okay, all done. I'm so used to taking it off the door. Okay. This is kind of nice because you don't have to do anything with the outside pieces except look for your little glue threads. Fluff your bow. And this is the first evergreen for 2020. Isn't it crazy to think about that?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is just me looking at little glue threads here and there. But what do you guys think? That's pretty much it. It's done. And you have successfully mastered how to put your,
and you can even turn off the lights really quick.
it's going to be hard to tell, You can still see though.
Yeah.
The little pops of blue.
Mm-hmm.
It looks better when they're off. Okay. So what questions do you have that I can answer for you? Remember, the private group is closing open enrollment as of the last day in September. It's the first time I've done that, but I really want to focus with private group, making sure that, you know, they're all set up for their craft shows or they have their Etsy shops all together. So $17 a month gets you materials list. So for example, everything on this wreath looks like a materials list that's kind of done out like this, so that it lists all the dimensions, what colors, where's it from, what was the item number. You get that for every public and private live that we do, and everything that I have done all the way back to 2018. Just signing up for the month alone is worth the price of just the angel tutorial.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you can have access to everything else.
Julie, you should be able to get right to the private group from her KatsCreationsNMore.com.
Scroll all the way to
Scroll all the way to the bottom.
You'll see it'll say Kats Creations private group, and it'll say click here to join the private Facebook group. But just above that, it says like, so you're interested in joining Kats Creations private group, and it looks like the message just kind of ends. If you click the little hyperlink that says see more, it opens up everything that you get. What times we go live, anything that I think you could think of. So A, sign up to join, and then 2, make sure you request to join the private group. Sunday, what am I teaching now? I wrote it down. Hold on. Sunday, we are we're gonna do fall rag garland, and I'm gonna teach you how to do candy corn shelf sitters. So because the tutorials are both short, we're gonna do them both in one. So that's what we're making Sunday at 3. We meet Sundays at 3, and then Mondays at 5.
You can always private message her too, and she'll tell you too.
Yeah, if you are having a difficult time trying to find the links, like Steve says, message me, or you can email me at katscreations777@gmail.com, and I'll just send you both links, and you can just click on both of them and be done with it. But that
and thank you, Sandra. Yes, Donna, Kat uses Gorilla glue sticks for the glue pot and her glue gun. You just cut them in little pieces and throw them in there, and they melt right down.
This is how I buy them. What is it? I buy them in Amazon. You can get a 2-pack of 45.
Yeah. And
I take, I don't know, when it starts to look a little low, I take like 3 of them and cut them into little pieces and just drop them back in there.
Yep.
But yeah, it's all recyclable. All right, everyone, don't forget next Friday, I'm going to teach you how to make the Christmas tree wreath, and we're going to light ours. This one's not lit. So I'm going to teach you how to make it using the Unique and Creek form. So it'll be a really simple tutorial. You can do it in 2-tone greens. You can do it in whatever colors you'd like. We're going to add lights, we'll add the ornaments, make the bow, and then you're good. So
Nancy, she has offered kits before, like Christmas kits and wreath kits, so it's up to her.
Yeah, we kind of did those earlier, and here's the reason why I don't do the wreath makers of the month thing. Like, we all make this wreath for the month of September, because let's say, for example, you have 200 people in your private group. You just now, by teaching everyone exactly how to make this, and everybody orders the ribbon and the sign and everything, you have 200 people who just are hitting Etsy or Facebook or Instagram with the exact same wreath that you do. So that's why I don't teach how to make the exact same thing.
How to do a co-create, right?
Yeah, how to do a co-create, basically.
Right.
I mean, we will if we're doing loopy things, because everyone's picking their own colors for like the loopy candy canes or rag wreaths and stuff like that, we would. But as far as this, it just helps you guys not to compete with everybody within the private group itself.
Right.
And then out in the World Wide Web as well. But you're welcome to the materials list. If you like it, you can co-create it or just make it yourself. Go back and watch the video and kind of put it all together that way. That's about it. All right, everyone. I will see private group people on Sunday. The rest of you, I might sneak in a couple lives in the middle of the week. So kind of make sure you have liked and followed my page. If you like and follow, you get notified if you're on your phone when I go live. So then you won't miss them. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, everyone. Well, have a great day. Thank you for joining me and have an awesome weekend. Bye-bye, everyone.